Namaskar, greetings friends. It is Saturday, the 12th of April 2025, and it is time for another episode of my weekly analysis. If you have seen any of my previous videos on weekly analysis, you will know that I look at a few charts from a technical perspective and try to play out a few scenarios so that it can help us in making decisions in the coming days and weeks. Markets have enjoyed a pretty good bullish run for a couple of years, and it was widely discussed that it was overheated and due a correction. It was only looking for a trigger, and the trigger was provided by Trump announcing a new regime of tariffs on world trade. Since then, we have seen a massive sell off, wiping off trillions of dollars of value from the stock markets, and also a very sharp recovery when he announced a 90-day pause. In such times, technical charts just go haywire, and it is very difficult to analyze charts for any decipherable information. So, in such situations, what you do is you step back and take a look at the big picture. By big picture, I mean larger time frames, and also instead of looking at individual stocks, look at the indexes and try to see what the overall market direction might be. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at three indexes: S&P 500, UK 100, and USA Tech 100. But before we do that, a quick word of statutory disclaimer. The information being shared in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be construed as an investment advice. Individuals are encouraged to do their own research and assume full responsibility of any actions taken based on the suggestions provided. Let us look at some of the charts and try to decipher what they are telling us. Is there anything meaningful we can make out from the charts and plan our week ahead? The first chart I will take a look at is the USA S&P 500. This is the USA 500 daily chart. As you can see, a long-term trend which is depicted by this rising trend line was broken here, and since then the price has made a low here, came back to make a lower high, lower low, lower high, another lower low, and a lower high. So by technical definition, it is now making a short-term downward trend. So I will get rid of this and draw a line which starts at the top of this price action and joins some of the highs to give us our new declining trend line. I would also like to draw some of the resistance points. So right at the top here, from where this correction started, followed by the next swing high, another one here, and the last one here. As you can see, on Friday, the price action closed with a strong candle up, fairly close to the high of the day as well, indicating that there is a little bit of positive sentiment returning back to the market following the 90-day pause. So, in the coming days, if nothing else changes, I expect the price to go further up and meet one of these resistance points. In the short term, unless there is a backtracking on some of the announcements, I do not see the price action to penetrate through this line very easily. So my expectation is that the price will go up following this 90-day pause and will probably respect this resistance, come down a bit, and maybe try to push back again. If the sentiment is really positive, it might go through this resistance and visit this one here. So in the short term, here is a scenario that I foresee. I will try and draw this so that you can see the price movement. The first point of support is here. I forgot to draw this. Let me draw that now. So here. Now this picture presents a kind of a happy path where no new extremely negative news comes to the market. Market consolidates on the back of this 90-day pause and the expectation that some sort of negotiations will happen, and then it recovers the lost ground in these waves. So first support here, followed by a push through this resistance, which has already been tested here, and then to the next level, back to the broken resistance point, and then wave up, so on and so forth. So that's how I see price action unfold in coming days. That said, in this business, anything can happen. Markets are unpredictable, and depending upon how the fundamentals develop, you could see a completely opposite picture. So, for example, in this instance, if the rhetoric between the United States and the Chinese governments continue, and they continue to have these war of words and do not come to negotiating table, you never know, the price action might actually see another wave down, breaking even the previous lows here. So my suggestion is to just watch and be careful with your money. Make sure that you take positions based on your overall plan and the risk management criteria. I personally think that good sense will prevail and this kind of scenario will happen. Even so, I would recommend that at each of these resistance point, you take some profits, so that one, your risk exposure is less. Also, you create some liquidity to take advantage if the market comes back to either these support levels or indeed further down. So with that, I conclude the S&P 500. Let's move on to the next chart. Next, let us take a look at USA Tech 100, a very similar chart to S&P 500. You see this long-term uptrend was broken here. Let me get rid of this line. And in more recent times, a downward trend has been forming. Let me also draw some of the resistance points, which will be useful to draw our possible scenarios. In terms of the support, one support here, and of course the bottom of this previous sell-off. Assuming there is no further bad news in the market in coming days, and given the price action on Friday closed very positively towards the highs of the day, I expect this momentum to continue right up to this first resistance point, where I expect it to take a breather and come down to test either these lows or indeed this support area here. In the next move, I expect the price action to break this trend line, this short term trend line, which then will start acting as the support. So if I draw this scenario, it will look something like this. So the price action continuing the strength from Friday visits the first resistance point, comes down to visit either this point here, which I forgot to draw. It might bounce off here or the next support. Then I expect it to penetrate through this declining trend line and visit the next resistance point, after which the first resistance will become the support, and so on and so forth. So this is the kind of happy path scenario I see going forward. Of course, like I said before, we have to wait and watch as to how things unfold and take our actions based on the overall analysis on the day. So that is USA Tech 100. Last but not the least, let us take a look at FTSE 100. Now, this chart, even before the sell off, it made a head and shoulders kind of pattern. Let me draw this so that it is clear to you as to what I'm talking about. So as you can see, the head here, left shoulder, right shoulder, and the neckline depicted by this line here. So it had a break here just before the major sell off. So this point will act as a resistance point going forward. So let me just draw that as my first resistance point. Above that, you've got this shoulder here, and of course the top point here. Resistance here as well. In terms of supports, right at the bottom, which is the lowest point of the sell off, and one here. Oh, I missed another support area here. Let me just draw that as well. So in terms of probable scenarios for the next week, given that the price action on Friday closed fairly strongly, there is a possibility that it might penetrate through this current resistance point straight away. But more conservatively, this resistance will hold for a little bit and the price action will make waves as I draw. This resistance will hold, will come down to this support here, will penetrate in the next move and go straight into this major resistance area, and then it will come back to this point, which will now act as a support and forward into like this. So this is how I see FTSE 100 going in the coming days and weeks. A big assumption here is that there is no further bad news at a geopolitical level. So that is UK 100 for now. With that, I conclude my weekly analysis for today. Hope you find it useful. I wish you a happy and successful week ahead. If you like the contents of this channel, please like and subscribe, and also share with anyone who you think might benefit from the information being presented. Thank you. Namaskar. See you soon.